Hello everyone, welcome to this crypto flash. The market's tense. Bitcoin's barely holding at $60,000. This flash aims to prepare for the worst case scenario. There are two worst case scenarios we'll prepare for. Being prepared mentally gives us an edge if it happens. We can quickly act on a negative scenario, not be passive. I'll show you tokens covering all major bull market themes, touching on important narratives. If we face the worst, there might be incredible opportunities to consider. When I talk about the worst case scenario, 4 years ago we had the COVID crash. Imagine if we had started 2020, the equivalent of 2024, with the COVID crash when we had an all-time high. So different scenarios. And then in 2020, it went much better. I find that 2024 is much more complicated because we first had honey and then 7 months of struggle. You'll see plus 6 huge blows that we may see again, maybe the curse of the 5th. I prefer to start from the scenario where we're really going to get shaken up in the next 48 hours. We'll look at that. I think it's important for portfolio management to not make bad decisions, to prepare for this scenario simply to avoid doing anything stupid. So then, the black swan, the ultimate COVID-like scenario with what's happening in the Middle East. The Israeli army is calling on the inhabitants of 25 towns in southern Lebanon to evacuations are underway, with millions in Lebanon currently fleeing. The situation there is becoming absolutely chaotic. Now let's look at Bitcoin. I'll go straight to the 5-minute chart as I think you're watching that, or the 1 minute. Yesterday it got hammered but held at 60,000. It dipped slightly below, but seems to be holding. It held at 10 a.m., then at 3:30 p.m. with Nasdaq's opening, and now it's attempting a slight rebound. Let's check short-term stats and take a step back. Jobless claims were slightly higher, so the market might use any excuse to drop. We'll keep an eye on it. Now, regarding interesting indicators, there's Brent oil. It's rising slightly, but I see no real concern. If there were major risks, Brent would be near $100. It might head there as tensions rise. We've seen a relative increase lately, though annually it's around median levels. The VIX Index, which measures market fear, shows a small uptick. Looking at the past 6 months, there was a major spike, the biggest in 20 years. Typically, it's around $10 when markets are calm, $20 with some tension, and about $30 in extreme situations. Then there are special cases, like the ultimate case, the COVID crash in 2020. It hit $86, an absolute record. Now it's rising a bit, but you can see it's not yet major panic. We'll prepare for that scenario where the VIX Index skyrockets. Let's look at the market. There's huge volume, $41 billion, and we're battling around $60,000 out of $2,352. In the 4-hour chart, it's holding by a thread, but it's holding. We're at the 200 MA, which is good news short term. On the 4-hour, we bounced once on October 1st, twice more, 3 times this morning. 4th time might break. We're in this pattern of higher lows. As long as we don't hit $58,000, we're maintaining this upward sequence. I want to emphasize, making money in crypto is relentlessly brutal. Look, here's the first major hit. So, boom, you'll see the first big drop. Here, a second major drop. Here, a drop in 2 stages. But let's call it the third big hit. In 2 stages, the first dip, I think we might hit this. We're in the middle here, and we'll go lower. So that's the third major drop. 4th, massive plunge. 5th, big drop. 6th, major hit. I'll outline a scenario, the first quite extreme one. It's a classic drop. Number 5, this weekend we'll hit 52,000, and that's the scenario we'll focus on. We'll face another pressure drop down to 52,000. We're at 60,000, that's a 15 to 20% loss. It might even zigzag like this, but always assume it'll hold. That's one extreme scenario. The ultimate scenario is a COVID crash. Yep, a COVID crash scenario. It doesn't hold at 52,000. We must be prepared. We'd see what happened before, something unreal. Hope it doesn't happen. Let's mentally prepare. Bitcoin went from 10,000 to 4,000. It was extremely violent. but it lasted quite a while. It went on for about a month. Then a crazy cycle began. Will we need to do this? Let's be pessimistic about this scenario. If it happens, we'll see insane opportunities. That'll be a crucial point, I think. Let's be fatalistic. We might as well say we're heading for $52,000. At $52,000, I'll try to make a move. If we go lower, we'll figure out our next steps. By then, I hope I'll still have some liquidity. With Middle East events, we might have a month like this. Importantly, I haven't added cash to crypto in a while, but I've been playing with liquidity positions. My only move now is to bump my Bitcoin to about 15%. I'll tell you what I'm simply going to do. If we hit 52,000, I'll use 5% of my Bitcoin. I'll keep 10% worth more if Bitcoin gains weight. So if we hit 52,000, I'll take 5% Bitcoin and show you the themes and cryptos I'll strengthen. In the extreme scenario, that's all I'll have left. I'll have 0% Bitcoin and be 100% in altcoin. That's my simple strategy. But I'm preparing, which is why having some Bitcoin is always good in a portfolio. Imagine buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. We'll see what happens here. The tokens to watch closely, I'll give you extreme targets. If we hit 52,000 or lower, I think we shouldn't overthink it. If I bought again with that 5% Bitcoin under 360, I'd use my last round. I think this is one of the tokens that will outperform again. It showed here gaining 100% when markets weren't crazy. However, since it exploded one shot without defining any key points, there was no resistance. It could drop to 360 without any support. If tension builds, wait for it to fall below 360. After that, don't overthink it. For me, these are the two major projects at the highs, with no others as significant. It might drop and return to 0.80. If it comes back here, imagine this was a major zone before the explosion. It was a big resistance area that I think will become support around 0.78. We're far off preparing for worst case. I'd bet on rates, and around 0.80 I'd place another bet. In the RWA space, there's a big DeFi focused layer one called Injective, which could reach $10. It's hard to predict now. For now, it's holding at the lowest points of this level. It's an interesting project. I didn't like it initially, but it had a good start, similar to Casper, like Casper and other projects I'll buy if it drops significantly. My dream is for it to crash hard, maybe down to 40 cents. The ultimate goal would be 30 cents, but we're far from that now. I'll add it to my portfolio. I've shown you 2 RWA files. These are my last 2 files. As I said, last push in this market segment to strengthen for now. I have a small Casper line if it fits in this zone and the peak. It's the first time I bought it. It was here and I thought if it explodes and comes back months later, you just need patience. Even if I've bought more here, if it drops, I'll buy again. Not in the big ones, the air one for false fork to Epium. We've talked about it a lot lately, and I told you we were there. Imagine if we return to this zone. It's a super interesting area. Big level zone between 0.80 and 1.20 comma. But in an extreme scenario, we could even target 80 cents. It seems huge. The thing that was worth then a few cents just over 18 months ago. Buying at a huge discount, I think it'll be one of the big topics that will perform. We talk a lot about IOWA. I think the themes of big blockchains that handle many transactions, these two will be, well, the top performers in this market segment. And even if it's not talked about much, infrastructure is crucial. For me, it's one of those big projects. It's the main player in general infrastructure blocks. Here we had a strong resistance, a cup-like pattern. We broke through it, then pulled back. With current events, we might go lower. We could hit, say, 2 cents. I'll be ready to buy more. Same for infrastructure and AI render, which is nearly at its yearly low. It was around 3.6 here and even around 350. If it drops further, it could reach, just guessing, between 2 and 4 in that area. We'll see, but I'll reinforce one last time, finally, I'm a pragmatic person. I think meme coins are among the best performers at the start of this cycle. They're also top performers in the second half. My favorite token with elections coming up is closely tied to the Republican PP. It performed well, dropped a bit, but bounced back nicely. When the market recovers, meme coins surge. They're taking a hit now, but we should be greedy. If it drops to these levels around 900, let's say if it comes back to 500, that's a great price. Maybe reinforce around 600. It's near the lowest since March. Aim for this zone. We'll see. Meme coins might crash if the market falls as people panic and sell, especially meme coins. And it's my favorite coin, VODJAK, which has grown over 10x in a year, but it's taken a hit, dropped, and is now trading near its yearly low. If it crashes completely, it'll hit its lowest point. Let's take a look at this small VODJAK token. We'll finish with this. It's a tiny token worth almost nothing, but it's performing well, up 700%, even more before. It's down, but still up 700% over the year. What I love is its enormous potential. It's worth $42 million. You know, similar meme coins, even the smallest ones, there are maybe 10 in the top 100. They're all worth at least $500 million to $1 billion. And that's the last meme coin I wanted to show you. Let's see if it holds or breaks in real time. It seems to be holding. It's not hugely significant though. Let's check out the CAC40. It's starting to dip a bit. That's why it's better to mentally prepare for a steep fall. The tokens I showed are examples of ambitious goals unthinkable 6 months ago. Today, these goals might become easier to achieve. In these times, success means buying during extreme market pain. Above all, prepare for the worst. If it doesn't happen, we'll be better off anyway. Discussing impacts and targets helps us prepare psychologically. I hope you enjoyed this brief analysis. If so, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Goodbye, everyone.